movies about the future have always been pretty neat. Some of them take place hundreds of years from now, and some of them just a couple decades away. A lot of movies these days give us these fantastic ideas of what the future might be, or these horrible, horrible what-ifs. Say everything went wrong. A lot of movies that were made in the 70s and the 80s thought that technology today would be a lot different than it is. And a lot of people that viewed these movies kind of thought that this was the way the world would be. Back to the Future 2 being a big one. So, today we're going to talk about a few things that movies thought we would have that we still don't. The first on our list, flying cars. Flying cars are something you see in sci-fi movies about the future left and right. You can't throw a stone without hitting a movie about the future that's got flying cars. They're in everything. Back to the Future, Minority Report, you name it. Now, whether or not we're close to having flying cars, I don't really know. I'm sure somebody's working on it. But I think it's pretty far away, and even if they do come out within the next couple of years, it's going to be a disaster. People can't drive for shit now, let alone when they're flying. That's going to be the worst. But, anyways, that's the first one on our list. Seems kind of obvious because it's such a popular concept. Everybody's got flying cars in the future, so don't really need to hit on that one too much. We're going to move on to the next one. Coming in at number 9, we got another popular concept from both past and present future movies. Rejuvenation centers, booths, beds, what have you. They were popular in Back to the Future. They had it in Elysium. They've had them in Star Trek, all kinds of movies about the future, whether they've, from the 50s and 60s to, movies that are coming out this year. These things, it's a bed or what have you, and you lay down in it with any kind of wound or disease, and whoop, you're fucking good to go. As nice as that would be to have, we still ain't got it, and, in most countries, our medical is still shit, unless you're rich, but that's for another time. Anyways, as cool as it would be to have these, it's another thing that's so far away, it's not even funny, but, 30, 40 years ago, people thought they'd be everywhere. Coming in at number 8 is a concept you don't see so much in movies about the future that are made now, as much as you did in, the early 80s and, the early 80s to the early 90s. And that's the instant food. You stick it in the little pill in the microwave, you hit a button, and poof, you got a full meal. Dehydrated meals, you add water, you press it through the machine, and boom, you got a full meal in seconds. That's obviously, not going to happen. There is dehydrated food out there that does expand when you add water, but definitely not at the level that they had in these movies. And it's just one of those things, it was just always goofy to see it. You saw it on Back to the Future. You saw it on The Fifth Element, The Jetsons. It's just, back then, it just seemed like so realistic. It seemed like an everyday thing. That's what we will have in the future. But thinking about it now, it's just goofy. It's weird, For number 7, we have DNA manipulation. Movies like Gattaca, where a mother and father, they don't, produce a child in the traditional way that we do now. People thought, with cloning being, an actual thing, and the way we can manipulate livestock and plants and, crops and stuff, that eventually would get to the point where we could manipulate human DNA. And in Gattaca and other movies, they would, have sex and create the embryo and all that, but then they would go to a facility and there they would use machinery to, choose hair color, eye color, the gender. They were able to do whatever they want to create, perfect children that didn't have any kind of, diseases or disorders when they were born. be it autism, you know, any kind of your heart murmurs, any of the sort. That stuff in these kind of movies didn't exist. Now, granted, that one isn't so far off to think about, and maybe we might have it in a couple of years, but I could see that going along the same line as like abortion and people say, oh, you're playing God and all that. So, hey, if it comes around, it comes around. If not, no skin off my back. Next we have, you know, clones, androids, replicas, anything of the sort. They had them in Blade Runner, surrogates, things like that. You know, where it's not an actual person, but they're controlled by other people, or they replace other people. In Blade Runner, you had these replicants that were essentially used as slaves. Surrogates, you had these, you know, robotic bodies that people controlled remotely. Things like that. Now, Blade Runner, which is the movie I initially got this reference from, didn't exactly take place in 2015. It took place in, you know, 2019. But it's close enough to, you know, today that I'm gonna put it on the list anyways. So there you have it for number 6. We got, you know, clones, droids, and all that kind of stuff. For number 5, we have space travel, like real space travel, where, you know, the moon's colonized, Mars is colonized, stuff like that. This was, again, another thing you saw in Blade Runner. And as we got closer to, you know, today, you know, early 2000s, late 90s, you didn't see so many movies that thought that by now we would have advanced space travel. But as you go farther back, there were plenty of movies, especially in like the 40s and 50s, that thought by the year 2000 we'd be floating through the stars. But again, not a chance. Intergalactic travel is far, far away. Try as they might to, you know, colonize Mars, that's decades away at least. And for all you conspiracy theorists out there that think there's a fucking alien that landed in Roswell way back when, if that actually happened, you think that American astronauts would have to ride a Russian spaceship to get to the International Space Station when we've had an intergalactic space vessel sitting in fucking Nevada for, what, 60 years? Come on, get your head out your ass. Number 4, we got self-driving cars. Now, hear me out. We do already have self-driving cars. They do exist. The Google Maps vehicles are self-driving cars. That is an actual thing. However, what we have now is nowhere near advanced as what these movies, you know, try to portray that we would have, where you kind of just pop in, hit a destination, and you're good to go. I mean, we've got cars that'll try to apply the brakes when they sense something that they're gonna hit, like this wildly successful one from, I think it's Volvo, where it'll stop if it encounters an object it's going to hit. So yeah, as you can see, we are very far from the self-driving cars that are depicted in movies, and even when we are, it's still not going to be at wide scale as some of the movies thought there would be by now. So there's that. Coming in at number 3, another one a lot of people want, jetpacks. God, how fucking cool would it be to have a jetpack? You strap that bitch on, especially if you're living out here in Arizona where it's always sunny. Fuck it, I'm not taking the car to work. I'm jetpacking. I'm out of here. That would be awesome. Now, I know we've got those ones that, like, suck water up in the ocean. You can jetpack on that. Not the same. Not even fucking close. I'm talking about, like, actual jetpacks. We're in that motherfucker. The propellers come on. You're flying around. Jimmy Neutron style. You know what I'm talking about. A lot of people thought we'd have those by now. And no. No. Not even close. But hey, you know, maybe I'll get lucky and they'll come around in my lifetime, like when I can use one. Now I'm like 95 or something. Fuck, that would suck. Alright, keeping this train on moving. We've got, of course, who's gonna come up? Fucking hoverboards. Everybody, hoverboards, ever since Back to the Future came out, people have been counting down every damn day of their life. 2015, when are we going to have hoverboards? When are we going to get the hoverboards? The government with the hoverboards. Okay, well, last year they had that, that fake video that came out that showed like Tony Hawk riding a hoverboard and all that stuff. And everybody thought it was real and it had finally come. No. But there is an actual hoverboard that does exist. However, it is not nearly as good as the one that was portrayed in Back to the Future. Sorry. Sucks, but hey. It's here-ish. Hey, who knows? Maybe in the next couple of years it's become widespread. Not that anybody uses them, but hey. And to finish off our list, the last thing we got is teleportation. Now, we got to stretch way back for people to think that we would have teleportation by now. But there are movies that thought that we would, and books and whatnot that they thought by now teleportation would be a thing. Hate to break it to you, it ain't here yet. And honestly, just taking a guess, it's probably never going to be here. Because teleportation becomes a thing, global economy, done. We're fucked. Think about how many jobs rely on physical transportation. Whether it be, the auto industry, shipping via train, shipping via truck, shipping via plane, the, airline industry, shipping via boat. You wouldn't need, like, oil at the pace that we need it these days. If teleportation became a thing, done. The world economy would just collapse. Because we're talking tens, if not hundreds of millions of people immediately put out of jobs as soon as they become widespread. So, I'd say if it ever does come out, it's going to be for, like, government agencies, and that'll be it. Bonus one. Fucking lasers. Everybody thought we'd have goddamn lasers by now. Setting phases to stun. Setting phases to kill. Yeah, no. We still no lasers. I mean, we have lasers that can, do laser things, but they take up, like, entire fucking rooms. So don't expect me to run around like a goddamn stormtrooper or the guys from Star Trek. Buzz Lightyear with the wrist laser. Not happening anytime soon. Cool as it would be. I think the first time you actually ever see a laser being used as an actual weapon outside of like a lab, maybe mounted to a tank. Because again, with lasers, they're fucking huge. For them to actually be like weaponized where you can actually have like heat and you can fucking zap stuff. So, anyways, there's all the things that some videos, movies, books, and all that thought that we would have by now, but we don't. But hey, that's not to say technology hasn't come astoundingly far since movies like Back to the Future and Gattaca and Blade Runner and stuff. I mean, think about it. If you brought an iPhone 6 back to 1989 and showed it to a guy, he would shit his brain out of his dick. He would be so amazed by it. The things you can do. And that's just an iPhone. There's so many other things that we have, like the wealthy, that people can afford, that are just fucking insane. But, this is the time we live in, and it could be worse. We could be living like fucking Mad Max, where everything's a barren wasteland in a desert. Or Resident Evil, where everybody's fucking dead and zombies. So, hey, I'm cool with the future we got. Young enough to, enjoy it. Take what I can get. Anyways, that's all I got for today. Hope you enjoyed the video, and maybe I got you thinking about some shit that you wish you had. I'm thinking about it now. On a fucking jetpack. Fuck that. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share, tell your mom about us. The usual. Spread the channel around, spread the love, tell your friends about us. The more viewers we get, the better content we can make. The more you'll enjoy our videos. Alright, till next time, take it easy.